number 8 Ferrari 296, part of the Arise Racing GT team. Come take a look around the car and I'll talk you through a few things. So obviously one of 2 cars in the championship this year, brand new car to Australia for 2024. It's based off the road-going version of the 296. V6, twin-turbo engine, producing around 600 horsepower. Very, very big step in terms of aerodynamics from the previous generation 488. I think it's a 20% gain on downforce that they've created with this car. One unique feature is that the front and rear clip can be pulled off as a whole. So, from this clipping point here, it's only 4 or 5 clips holding it on, and the rear wing assembly comes off. So, makes it pretty quick for some changes in the pit lane and any repairs in GT racing, as it's quite expensive. And I guess we can have a look inside, and I'll show you from the cockpit. So as you can see here, plenty of buttons and dials to turn on. This is one of the most advanced cars, being the newest. So a lot to play with as a driver from the cockpit. We have different phases of traction control that we can play with, obviously ABS in GT racing, but there's so many different things. Obviously wet, dry conditions, it's always something different. You have your basics, radio, start, pit limiter and things like that, but often relaying a lot of information back to the team here in the garage, and they'll give us advice on what we should and shouldn't change. It's kind of like sitting in a spaceship, a lot of fun, but in the end, it's all for a reason, and it's to try and help us improve our performance on track. I'm Jackson Evans. Thanks for having a look around the Ferrari 296 GT3 with me. Make sure you tune in and watch the races live on 7+.
As a part of SRO Motorsports Group Global Formula, Australia is very proud to have its own Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS Championship, and in 2024 it has begun with a bang. We've had a change here at the desk as well. Cam Vanderduggin is with us, along with Richard Crowell. We're about to take you to pit lane, though, for the presentation of a very special award brought to you by Maguire's. Here's Sarah.
Well, thanks very much, Rusty. I am here with Jacob and Peter of Randall Racing. We are here to present Maguire's Best Presented team. Guys, congratulations. You've won the Best Presented award. Can you talk to us a little bit about the design of this car?
So the inspiration is from our family business, Randall Industries. We're in the structural steel game, so our colour's always been blue, and then the chrome is meant to represent steel or chrome, so that's the inspiration behind it.
Peter, anything you'd like to add about that? It's got a very nice blue theme, and all of your uniforms as well. It's all very in sync.
Yeah, no, I've actually read on Instagram that some of the people on the Instagram are actually call it the cars that glow in the sun, not the dark, because of its colour, so that's something.
Well, that's good and perfect for a nice sunny day like today. Thanks very much, guys. This is for you from Maguire's. Congratulations.
I want to say a massive thanks to the team from Maguire's, as you can see, from well over a century of involvement. And that's a perfect link, isn't it? Look how beautifully prepared the Augustine Lawrence car is, how beautifully presented it is. We'll be crossing as our coverage continues this afternoon as well to recognise an official or marshal of the round 2. We want to say thank you to all of the team that have made this possible. So cars are gridded up. We set off, Richard, on our warm-up lap, our sighting lap here. We'll get the action underway very shortly. Overnight, after the results of race 1 yesterday, our officials look at the performances, the success, and we determine, in addition to the standard mandatory pit stop time for all of the cars, which is a minimum of 85 seconds. But for those that were in the top 3 in their respective classes and outright yesterday, there is an additional compensation time, 15 for the winner, 10 for second, 5th for third, that is applied, so that some of them will be slugged, like this car here. Our outright winners yesterday, Declan Fraser, Peter Hackett, did a super job in that 888 prepared Mercedes AMG. 85 seconds plus the 15 compensation. It's a 100-second pit stop time for that car.
So that will be costly for the 888 race engineering car, and as a result, they also didn't qualify particularly well for this race. There's 2 qualifying sessions. They set the grid for the 2 races. So they start a little bit further back, so they're definitely on the back foot, and Pete Hackett said this morning, just got to salvage a solid result today. Today's about championship points. The grid has a pair of Arise Racing Ferraris going from the front row. Evans got pole for this one in front of Chaz Mostert, and those two will start those cars. Elliott Shute and Liam Talbot will finish this race. Ojeda and Paul Lucitti go from third, with Brendan Leach and Timmy Miles out of 4. Will Brown and Brad Schumacher out of 5th, and then that winner from yesterday out of 6. The Lambo for Wall Racing, Adrian Dietz and Tony D'Alberto from 7th. Alex Peroni and Mark Rosser in the Audi. Local car run by Team BRM go out of 8th position. You will notice the different colours on the timing screen as well. That delineates the different classes. Pro-Am, Am and Trophy. We'll tell you about those as the race unfolds. So 100 seconds for Hackett and Fraser, 95 seconds for Liam Talbot and Chaz Mostert, 90 seconds for the car that starts this race from pole position. So through all of that, I think Brendan Leach and Tim Miles in the Audi look quite strong in this one. After a challenging day yesterday, they were among the quickest cars on the grid. Tim Miles told me this morning, I didn't quite get my stint right. I need to be a little bit faster. I need to be better in traffic as well. That will play out with an hour on the clock in the 4th race of a compelling Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia season here at the Ben Motorsport Park.
About to unleash them, 2 Ferraris on the front row. Listen to that symphony of sound. GT3 cars at a place that is purpose-built for this style of competition, but we're using a little bull ring this weekend, and that's brought some strengths to the fore. Down the inside, Renee Gracie, Paul Stokel car, and it's involved in some contact with the Adrian Dietz, Tony D'Alberto Lamborghini. Hopefully Tony D can keep that car going. And the little footnote to the story telling that Richard did so well on our warm-up lap is that those that started the race yesterday will bring it home today. We swapped things around.
And this car was involved in damage to the front as well, bouncing over that curb. Marcel Zalua and Sergio Perez in the Valmont racing car. Marcel's behind the wheel. They won the AM class yesterday. There was contact with Mike Sheargold on the last lap of yesterday's race while they were battling for the race lead. The stewards looked at that. Race director James Taylor, driver standards boss Craig Baird said, nope, no penalty to serve. So they got the win, but now they're on the back foot. While all that's been going on, a rough start for Jackson Evans. He has been shuffled back down to 4th place. A lot of that was down to Brendan Leach getting the elbows out in the Dale ITM Audi. He's got that car up to 2nd place and is going out after Chaz Mostert. Oh, off the road goes the Ferrari, and Juice Jaden Ojeda as well. This has been been a rough opening lap for that Ferrari that started on pole.
And it's only getting worse now. Down into turn 1 as well. He's being swamped. Having to hang to the outside, not the spot you want to be. Although he's able to cover off. Can maintain that position and stem the fall back down the field. So he's lost multiple positions now. Jackson Evans is still in a big fight. The cars behind him, Mostert, Leach, Brown, Evans, Ojeda. Your top 5, Fraser and Peroni, 6th and 7th. Now, we saw Renee Gracie. She's dropped right to the back of the field. I think the car may even have stopped out on track.
There's a couple of awkward moments down at turn 6 on that opening lap. I don't know whether that's pressures and temperatures, some of the cooler conditions that we've alluded to earlier in the coverage today, but with the willingness to get on with this, a few people kind of overstepped the mark. Even Renee having some trouble pulling that car up down into 1, and I think it's nursing some subsequent damage. What's not in question is that Chaz Mostert leads this race. And into the lane comes the Gracie car. You can see the left front there, look at it.
Oh, that's copped quite a significant whack, hasn't it, as well. The Marcel Zalua car has continued on for Valmont Racing. Tagani Autosport run that car. They'll be monitoring if there is any damage on the front. AM winners from yesterday. The race within a race. Right now, James Kanduris leads the way in the AM class. I'm a little confused over what happened with Jackson Evans on that opening lap, and I'm not sure if it was just hip and shouldered and maybe some pickups and marbles on the tyres that really caused him to struggle there for the opening 2 laps. The thing's quick now, and in fact, he's just set the quickest first sector of the race, so it's okay, but I think it was just a case of being offline and wide and wrong place, wrong time for this vastly experienced Kiwi, full-time supercars racer, lots of international GT experience. Just didn't work for him on lap 1.
No, but it wasn't just in the one spot either. It was multiple locations over the course of the lap and was still under threat at the end of that first lap and the beginning of the next. But as you suggested, purple sector's now coming from Jackson Evans out of position number 4. That's him on screen, trying to keep Ojeda and Fraser behind him.
And Cam, worth noting that the Evans-Elliott Chute car has 85 seconds plus 5. So a total pit stop time of 90 seconds for them. So that's the reason why there's an urgency about the recovery of what's happened on the opening lap there. They've got that little extra, not as much admittedly as Fraser and Hackett or Chaz and Liam Talbot, but it's still that little bit longer than others in the lane when it comes to the pit stop window.
Alex Peroni looking very racy up onto the back of Declan Fraser. That's in the battle for 6. This is looking further down the field. That's Ben Schutz on board the Black Wolf Motorsport entry that he shares with Shane Woodman, car owner. Tony D'Alberto trying to fight his way back into the race after that contact on the beginning of this race so far. You can see Rene Gracie out of the car.
That's a shame. Paul Stokel did a ripping job in that first stint yesterday. They were fast in that car. I was looking forward to seeing what he might have been able to do on the run home this afternoon.
Finished 6th in yesterday's race, and you're right, it was down to the opening stint from Paul Stoker. We can't fault Rene Gracie. He was able to bring it home in that top 6 as well.
Trent Levi, the crew chief down there at Melbourne Performance Centre, was on the run gun on the right front. They were pretty quick, suggesting there's no fix coming for that car, so that's a shame. Some super engineering brains up and down this paddock looking after some of these cars.
Geez, Jackson Evan keeps delivering, Richard, so purple sector's lighting up for him. There he is on screen right now, fastest lap of the race so far in that Ferrari.
Oh, big squiggle on the brakes for Declan Fraser, who was superb yesterday in the second half of that race for Triple Eight Race Engineering. I caught up with Simon Hodge, who's engineering that car, former Gold Star champion in the Formula 3 days. Now looks after all of Triple Eight's GT racing programs from an engineering standpoint. And he was just so impressed with the way Decker managed the race and the pressure. But he said, well, don't discount the job that Peter Hackett did early. He put that car in the right position to win, and then the pro driver did the job in the second half. But Hollywood, as they've called him for years and years, was superb early on. But as you touched on, Rusty, they have their backs against the wall a little bit. Didn't qualify particularly well for this particular race, and they're copping that penalty. So the message from Triple Eight today was, let's just see where we end up, but make sure we get to the finish and get some championship points.
Don't you love that about Triple Eight, how they involve some races in those roles when their careers change? You can add Martin Short and others to that sort of flavour, can't you? Good stuff.
And it's great to see them continue a presence in GT World Challenge Australia. A couple of years with the Johor Motor Racing squad with the Princes out of Johor, the south end of Malaysia. Jeffrey Ibrahim and Abu, who've been doing such a good job in their GT program. They're focusing on international GT racing this year, which Triple Eight continues to run for them. They'll be at Spa in a couple of weeks' time for the 24-hour, as will Brendan Leach, who's currently running second in this race. But cool to see them put this program together with Romeo, that is a backer that Peter Hackett has been working with to get on board. The way he was selling it to us yesterday, I feel like he might have a stake in that business as well, but he was pretty involved. All power to him. Mercedes AMG's chief driving instructor in Australia for some time. He'll jump into this car for the second half of the race. Fraser's next, behind the wheel at the moment. Mostert leads Brendan Leach by 0.6 of a second. Ferrari and Audi at the front of the field. Will Brown going with them at the moment. There's just 1.1 seconds coming in the top 3. And Jackson Evans is gradually easing up to them as well in the second of the Arise Racing Ferraris. And And just for fun, for us anyway, he's bringing Jaden Ojeda with him.
Saw that shot a moment ago of car 9. That's Mark Sini. He's pulled the pin. I think he's got sideswiping those opening laps. They feel like the car may be drivable, but Mark's pulled the pin on him. He's someone who's been around the game for quite some time. Porsche Carrera Cup competition and so on. So the hallmark entry, Mark Sini in car 9 out of this race.
So 3 cars in the pit lane. Sounds like 2 that won't retake this race as Jackson Evans goes fastest of all to the first sector. He's really looking to close the gap. You can see him just in the background of this shot. That's Will Brown having a look on Brendan Leach, getting ever closer.
And Cam, what Evans is doing now isn't necessarily for now in the race, it's for later, because they've got a quite short pit stop time, especially relative to their teammates, so they can afford to not quite have track position, knowing they'll get some of that back. But Evans has to make sure they're somewhere around that leading bunch when the pit stop window opens.
Will Brown, just like he did yesterday with Brad Schumacher, continuing to do a super job behind the wheel. He's shadowing Leach here, isn't he? Just kind of going toe-to-toe, those guys.
And Fraser running with them too. That's green and silver GT stripes of the Mercedes AMG GT3. So the Valmont Racing AMG, Rusty's just been in the lane and they've been working hard on it with that front clip on the right-hand side with that damage on the opening lap, but I'm not entirely sure
that's right, yeah.
That.
Does look like a little bit of smoke coming from that repaired bodywork, doesn't it, on the right-hand side. Back we go.
Important from a championship point of view that they get that car to the finish. It's not an abundance of races in GT World Challenge. You need to finish them all to be a title contender. Even limping around at the end will get you some AM-class points.
So starting to look ahead. I know with 45 minutes to go in the race, the drivers that they're going to be handed over to. Chaz Mossad will be handing over to Liam Talbot, no slouch in a GT car. Then remember the duking out we saw at the end of Phillip Island between Tim Miles and Brad Schumacher as well. Looking forward to that battle potentially unfolding. And Elliott Shute will also potentially be in the mix here. Shaping up nicely if they stay relatively close together.
And I mean, just in terms of the pit stop times as well, Chaz and Liam have 95 seconds, and if memory serves, Brendan Leach and Tim Miles have exactly the same. So,
well, they weren't on the podium yesterday, so they've got none. So they're in a 85 seconds. So they're 10 seconds to the good. So to Cam's point, it's actually playing out in almost exactly the same way race 2 at Phillip Island did.
That was where I was heading, Krause. Except Liam Talbot will be hoping for a better rejoin.
Yes.
And will be in that battle as well.
Yeah, so if you cast your mind back to Phillip Island, and if you're on 7+, you can go back and watch that coverage on demand after this race, of course, because they were worth watching. They were brilliant races at the island. Compelling stuff. Liam Talbot launched from the Arise Racing garage and the car hesitated. There was a gear selection issue. Probably cost them 5 or 6 seconds and probably cost them the car race in the end.
For a second, I thought it was going to cost them the engine too, the way it went through the rev range.
Oh, yes.
I was standing right next to it at the time.
Durable for his Ferrari, the 296 GT3.
But this car should be in contention at the end of this race.
And Brad Schumacher will drive the car that Will Brown is in now that sits in 3rd place. And 150% Brad Schumacher can run with anyone in the AM side of things.
Do you want to give them a ranking of those 4 drivers?
No.
Well, they're even. That's where I was going. I'm looking forward to it. I think Liam Talbot just might have them a little bit in recent driving of GTs.
Well, he's the reigning champion, so as a result, you would say, okay, he's probably at the top by virtue that he's got number 1.
But not by much.
No. I'm sitting firmly on the fence on that one. You're not going to drag me into that.
No,
I know my colleague Rusty will be exactly the same fence as I am.
He's already pulled the chute. He was out of that conversation.
I'm just keeping an eye on that little bit of smoke from the Audi as it's to the right front there as it continues its way around. Let's take you back to the pit lane because we want to spend a moment with Sarah just acknowledging the great work of some of our volunteers here at this round.
Hello everyone, I'd like to introduce everyone at home to Phil Rowley. If you are around pit lane this weekend, no introduction necessary. Phil, you are our volunteer of the round. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now, for everyone at home that hasn't met you before, could you please tell me how long you've been volunteering for?
at least 30, 40 years. A long time.
Now, I've had a chat to a few people around the grounds today, and they said that they like to call you Mr. Fix-It. And apparently you are the man for the job for anything that's needed. You're part of the equipment team. If there's fire hydrants needed, if there's anything needed at all, you're on top of that. Is that true?
Yep, I just try to help out wherever I can. I started off in pit lane, then moved into the equipment. So whatever needs to be put out on the circuit, that's what I do.
Thanks very much, Phil. It's very, very well deserved.
Great to see. Now, I just wanted to say, talking about equipment team, this is one shout out to some of our South Australian volunteer officials that are arguably some of the most famous from the early days in Formula One here. Their nickname was the A-Team. They came from Adelaide. Bernie Eccleston himself used to call them his engineering squad to fix problems. So big shout out. South Australia's got a very rich history of volunteer officiating, well regarded globally, and I know, Krause, you echo that, but I had to give the A-Team some recognition on air as well.
I know several of them personally from my time growing up at Malala Motorsport Park and my early career out there as well, so yeah, very, very hard-working. And it's amazing, Cam, that Grand Prix era you touch on, how many people got into the sport because Formula One came into town, have stayed there, but also how many of them come across to Melbourne to go and race when the Grand Prix comes to town over there in Victoria. So, yeah, it's pretty cool, and we do thank all of our volunteer officials. We couldn't be doing this unless they were.
The reason I wanted to give a shout out is we talk about flag marshals, and I know we're going to stay on the racing. We talk about medicals, we talk about fireys. The equipment team never get their recognition, so well done, Motorsport Australia, for giving an equipment team member that recognition.
40 minutes remaining in this race. And what have we got up in front? It's only 1.3 between Mostert and Leach at the moment, and Leach doing a terrific job. I realised why I tripped on the pit times before for Leach and Miles. It's in fact the 47, not the 7.
Yes.
So the Honduras boys, apologies.
Still a valid point you make, though, and they will need to deal with that pit stop penalty as well, and that will have a play out in the AM class. And the AM class now, with Marcel Zalua out of the race, actually becomes pretty wide open. It was led all the way yesterday, the AM class, by Mike Sheargold and Garth Walton. So Garth started the car, led the race outright. Unfortunately, on the final lap of the race, there was contact between Marcel Zalua and Mike that was investigated, and no penalty was applied. But yeah, the GWR Ram Motorsport camp were not impressed last night. There was some serious anger issues being managed down there as a result of being what they felt was taken out of a potential race win. So there's a little bit of revenge on the cards perhaps today for that team from a results point of view. The other car involved, Valmont Racing, well, they've had their own dramas in today's race, and back in pit lane getting more 100-mile-an-hour tape. It always seems terrible to race tape up an Audi R8 GT3 car, but it doesn't seem right to me.
But it'll fix anything, race tape.
Absolutely.
It's holding race cars together since the day it was invented. This battle's been interesting. Alex Peroni has not been relenting in his pressure on the back of Declan Fraser in that battle for 6th place. We head back up the order a bit here, and Jackson Evans very much now in the fight for second on track. Just getting up onto the back of Will Brown. Will Brown has stayed glued to the rear of Brendan Leach.
This is something of a reinvention for Alex Peroni at 24 years of age. Rare at that young, you need to reinvent your career, but that's what he's in the process of doing. It was a one-off deal to drive with Mark Rosser in the ACM Finance car at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, but they had a really enjoyable weekend. The results didn't flow, but the team looking at the data and Mark working with Alex and what he got out of that was enough for them to go, yeah, he's got to drive this car ongoing for the season. Marcus Koch, hugely experienced engineer, is running that car for BRM this weekend, and he's just a world of praise for what Alex is bringing to the program.
He's won Formula 3 in Monaco before.
Exactly.
And
the guy can drive
incredibly well.
Should just update some class things too, guys. Valentino Astudi, from a trophy class perspective, 10th at the moment. And the Chutes entry, which was in the wall at Phillip Island and in all sorts of drama, they're on top of Am at the moment in this race, currently 11th outright. So nice work by them.
Valentino Astudi is doing an enormous job 10th outright on the tail of the Pro-Am cars and in front of all of the Am cars in what in GT racing terms is a fairly old spec Aston Martin in the trophy class. Huge drive. Mike Bailey will jump into that car for the second half of the race. Race controls noted the incidents, one of which involved that 44 Valmont racing car at turn 2, but as yet no penalties or anything of the like have been applied. Mostert has eked his lead out to 1.6 now. Jackson Evans running lockstep with him, still in a pretty good spot, but right now, on pit stop times at least, that Audi in a really strong position to pay off later in the race.
Tony D'Alberto continues to circulate there in 9th place. We saw just a shot of it a moment ago, that new Lamborghini that he and Adrian Dietz are sharing. He's involved in that incident at the start of the race, just wondering if he's continuing to battle on here. Tony knows what's required in these moments, and he'll jump behind the wheel of the Honda for the final race to come in Super Cheap Auto TCR. So busy weekend for him. Slightly different paint scheme to what we've seen in the past. Richard talking in yesterday's coverage about the fact that Adrian commissioned a street artist to take, I guess, a subtle advancement, a subtle change to the scheme that we saw in the older generation Lamborghini that he's run in the past. Nice to see him continuing that association with Wall Racing and with Tony D as well.
Lap traffic starting to play a little bit of a part in this story, although in GT racing, particularly GT3, most of them are very used to the faster car coming through. It was Ferrari, Audi, Ferrari. The ones in contention at the moment, well, certainly looking the most likely.
Someone right up on the rev limiter there then. I think that might have been Brendan Leach, was it? I don't think it was Brownie. It might have been Brendan. Just keeping our ears peeled as well, just in the little gaps in commentary here, waiting for the confirmation of pit lane to open. We have a limited window here, Rich, don't we, with the pit stops to be executed.
10 minutes, and the Am cars can pit first. So the Pro-Am cars will fit in the pit in that second 5-minute bracket when the pit window opens. CPS window should open very, very soon. And then it's a 10-minute window in the race. They're the leaders. The top 8 cars all together on the start-finish straight. They're just wrapping up the Ram Motorsport Mercedes AMG of Mike Sheargold. He's in 14th position, so he's now a lap down. They'll get a little bit of time back in their pit stop. But there's only 9 seconds covering the top 8 cars down to Alex Peroni, Nick McBride and Tony D'Alberto next. So really, this pit stop sequence is going to be absolutely critical, and there's going to be some wins and losses, and even where you take your stop. So they've basically got, Rusty, a 5-minute window to get into the lane for the Pro-Am competitors. And where you take that in the 5 minutes is going to be critical. Do you start pit straight away? Do you do an extra 3 laps? You can do 3 laps in 5 minutes at this venue. Such a short lap now on the West Circuit. That could be the difference. A little bit of overcut. You stay out, press on, get some clear track, some clean air. We've seen that the Pirelli tyre can certainly go the distance and punch out quick laps at the end of the race.
It's an interesting point. I think the Fraser car might go early. Peter Hackett did such a good job. They could do that switch over. Some of the other cars, you'd probably pay to keep Chaz Mostert out there as long as you can. Imagine maybe our top 4, they run as long as they can. Behind that, though, is where you start seeing differences.
The only question mark I have over Mostert staying out is if you get a safety car, it's game over. And at this place, you're going to go down a lap.
Well, that's why
you've got to be so careful.
Fraser, with that additional penalty from yesterday, basically having to come in early and just negate any risk.
Correct. There is the Ferrari. 2 in the country already. Strong rumours around the Ben Motorsport Park paddock that there may be a 3rd one joining the championship this year, and potentially more down the road. They are going to be a very popular car. Developed by Orica, the 296 GT3 famous chassis constructor. And the CPS window for the AM and trophy class is now open.
Someone's taking advantage of that already. I can't quite see bottom right of your screen there, about midway through.
Ash Samadi.
Marty, yeah.
So there's 5 minutes for the AM and trophy class cars to peel off into pit lane and complete their compulsory pit stop of 85 seconds without any of the penalty times applied. A little bit more if you had some success yesterday.
Sheargold now into the pit lane as well.
I thought they'd be in relatively early. Put Garth Walden in that car. He'll make it go extremely quickly and will get some more ground back. They've got a little bit of revenge up their sleeve from yesterday. In fact, a whole bunch of them have come in. So only Ben Schutz and James Konduras remain on the racetrack. And Valentino Astudi too in the trophy class car, who's actually in front of them all. Here's Ash. He's racing 2 categories this year. He's got the Audi in Fanatec GT World Challenge and a Radical in the Radical Australia Cup. So he'll be racing here next weekend in that championship, actually. Plenty sharp is Ash, just passionate about his motorsport. Loves driving and loves improving and continuing to develop his program.
James Konduras in, leaving Astudi and Schutz the only 2 to remain out on track at the moment, still to pit.
Valentino will keep the Aston out for as long as he can to take advantage of the track position that they've got. Well, there's an indication of how much time you lose during a pit stop here on this short lap, because as Ash Samadi rolls out, the leaders barrel past to put him a lap down. Very strict pit stop rules in GT World Challenge SRO spec racing. No one allowed over the line that delineates the garage and the working lane until the car comes to a complete stop. But it's just a driver change stop. No adjustments to tyres, no fuel needed until we get to some endurance racing a little bit later on in the season, which will come at Sydney Motorsport Park. That's not for position, that's putting Samadi a lap down. Alex Peroni goes by in the ACM Finance car. It's cool to see Albert Callagher from ACM Finance here, former another open wheel racer from back in the Formula Holden days. Last couple of years heavily involved in S5000 open wheel racing, Rusty, and now jumping on board with Mark Rosser and Alex Peroni to support this GT World Challenge program.
So 30 minutes remain in this session. Loving this battle at the moment. Ojeda versus Fraser. And if you think, you know, we've got some gun names at the wheel of these cars at the moment, what will the back end of the race be like when Brad Schumacher steps behind the wheel of that Shuren Partners entry and takes over from Will Brown, when Tim Miles takes over from Brendan Leach? Well, it was thoroughly exciting on the Sunday at Phillip Island, wasn't it? So those guys, they race hard. It might be kind of their game of golf, but they push on, and that'll be a fascinating battle between them. Yeah, there's just a little holding pattern at the moment until that pit stop window opens, Cam. Oh, you've got a little bit of communication coming through.
Yeah, how's this? I got an SMS in. Give a shout out to the Ferrari performance advisor who's watching intently from home between Formula One weekends. Do we know who that is?
That would be one Kay Reindler, I would imagine.
Hello, Carl. I hope you're enjoying the coverage. You better get yourself to the studio tonight for the radio show, I can tell you that.
Now, sorry, boys, we need to keep an eye on these stops. I'm mindful of that. But Richard alluded to the fact that Marcel Zalua and that issue before changes the game from a class perspective. He's standing by in the pit lane for us. So why don't we bring Marcel into the conversation and just get a quick update there. Unfortunately for you, Marcel, it's game over.
Seems like Sundays aren't our day. This is the second round in a row we've had an incident. Look, I avoided the first contact. There was a bit of mayhem in front, and unfortunately, I think it was Mark Sini spearing off the track backwards and collected me on the way through. So, I don't know. It's bitterly disappointing, and it's going to ruin our weekend, to be honest.
Hey, Marcel, congratulations, though, on yesterday. A little last lap battle with Mike Sheargold. We actually didn't see it because there was so much going on at the pointy end. Just talk us through that.
I've got to say thank you to Brendan Leach for that one. I just managed to let him pass under blue flags, and then I just followed him through turn 6 and made the pass probably cheekily, but I got it done. So left it late, but hey, it's racing.
Hey, if you don't mind, we might leave it there. We've just heard the horn there in pit lane, so we're getting ready for some more action. Thank you very much for talking to us, and best of luck at the next round.
Thank you.
There he is, Marcel Zalua, and window is open for our front-running cars. Will someone take advantage early here or run a little long? Let's see.
No one pits yet. That's not a shock.
Not from the front group. It's the next lot that come through. Jackson Evans stays out as well as we see Ben Shoots just join. Not seeing anyone take their opportunity straight through. And Ben Shoots will get right out of the way.
Look at
the leading battle pack.
Flashing of the lights from Jaden Ojeda. I think that is trying to clear the Aston Martin, not wanting to get held up here.
So basically there's 5 minutes now, and they've just started a lap. So they were coming through, what, turn 11 when the horn went off?
Oh, no,
big
Brownie, round the outside. Leach goes deep under brakes, can't do it there, so they were splitting the car, lap traffic, and it works for Will Brown. Great move.
There was really nowhere to go there for Ben Shoots, was it?
And another kiss of the rev limiter on the run into turn 8, the left-hander driving this Audi hard. Opportunistic stuff from Will Brown to grab that spot just before the pit stops. And it could be critical. And these two cars have the same pit stop time. So track position could be everything. And that could be exactly what Brad Schumacher needed for the second bit of this race. And they're still only 1.5 seconds behind Chaz Mostert, who continues to lead. Here it is. And just a hesitation got to Ben Shoots at exactly the wrong bit of time, wrong bit of racetrack. Shane Woodman behind the wheel, sorry, of the AMG. And there was a hesitation from Leach, and advantage gained for Will Brown, which if anyone knows Will Brown, he will take any day of the week.
But if you come back on that, hindsight's wonderful. He actually made the right position. It was the balking of Woodman that really made him just get out of the gas, and that was enough. It was the right call to go to driver's right, though.
That could make all the difference, that pass, couldn't it, in this race for the combination of Will Brown and Brad Schumacher, waiting for the handover, waiting for the stops to take place. Mostert at the wheel of the Ferrari. There he is there now. Liam Talbot will take over from him shortly when that car arrives at the Arise Racing pit box. Do they come in this time?
Keep an eye on that. Tony D'Alberto was the first of our Pro-Am to pit. Chaz Mostert's in. So your race leader pits and will hand over to Liam Talbot. And Will Brown,
both Ferraris
Leach, continuing on. So as Rusty said, both Ferraris are now taking their stop.
Ojeda, Fraser, they're in too.
And there's 5 seconds different in pit stop time between the two Ferraris, and they're about 3.5 seconds apart on the road. So it's going to be very close between them, with who rejoins in front, Liam Talbot or Elliot Shute, the young West Australian who's a product of Radical Racing in Australia. Car number 1 gets to the marks first. The reigning Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia champion, Liam Talbot, who won in an Audi and immediately defected to Ferrari, will jump aboard car number 1 for the second half of the race.
They have 95 seconds stop time. Fraser and Hackett, courtesy of yesterday, 5 seconds longer, 100 seconds.
And while this is going on, Will Brown will be pressing on behind the wheel of the number 87 Audi, and Brendan Leach will be following him, doing the same. Get as much undercut as you possibly can, or it's an overcut in this extent, before you peel off into pit lane. They've probably got this lap plus 1 more, but they take it this time by. Both Audis will head down to the MPC garage to get some service. And the irony is they're going to pass the Ferraris, and very briefly, they'll almost put them a lap down. In fact, the rejoin's going to be really close. And the two Ferraris rejoin, and the way that's played out, that might have been a very impressive in-lap from Chaz Mostert, because he's still going to get out in front of the sister car. Liam Talbot will rejoin in front of Elliot Shute.
You talked about the early laps for Jackson Evans in that sister car. Just wondering now the impact of that. That's all it takes in this GT game. Their stop was only 90 seconds. So in theory, given how close they were, would have been a chance, had it been a good start, to maybe have leapfrogged them in the pit lane.
Yeah, I think that track position game early in the race has really cost car number 8 relative to 1. And now let's see if it affects the Tim Miles, Brendan Leach car relative to Will Brown and Brad Schumacher, who's jumping aboard 87.
So we're able to get confirmation from the team separately. We haven't broadcasted yet that there was actually no issue with the Jackson Evans car. It was just a rough start, is what the team said.
Yeah, it genuinely just looked like tyre pickup being out in the marbles there on that opening lap on cold tyres. Jackson just struggled for grip. Good recovery in the end. This is the critical rejoin. This is the critical rejoin. The two Audis resume. They're going to have clear racetrack in front, and it comes down to a race between the drivers now. Schumacher leads Miles out of pit lane, and emerging across the control line now is Liam Talbot. So that's the margin. That's what Liam's got to work with if Ferrari want to do the double for the first time.
Audi 1-2, Ferrari 3-4. Everyone now has cycled through their compulsory pit stop, and it's a race to the flag. 21 minutes 50 remaining.
Brad Schumacher will relish this moment. This is in his wheelhouse as he bowls it pretty wide on the exit of turn 6. The Bathurstian, who's so passionate about these cars, he owns one of these cars, but this isn't actually his race car. His race car, as you do, is sitting in the reception foyer of Ridges Mount Panorama, overlooking the racetrack. So he's linked up with Melbourne Performance Centre. One of the proudest moments of his career was in the Bathurst 12 Hour in 2022. He was in the factory-backed Audi R8 in Australia's International Enduro, and did the same again this year as a Pro-Am combination looking to win the race outright. Here's as good an Am driver as you'll find. Let's see what he can do with Tim Miles chasing him down. Remember, Tim Miles' drive at Phillip Island was epic. What can he deliver now? He's chasing rather than being chased.
So it's 1.8 seconds the gap between the two of them. We'll continue to monitor that as Ferrari of Liam Talbot starts to make his way through traffic as well. It's just interesting to watch the body language of Tim Miles' Audi as it came through turn 11. It just looked loose at the rear, and Schumacher's already put a 10th into him. 1.9 seconds now the gap, so he's extending slightly.
Why don't we bring in someone to the conversation here who's often with us for these races in commentary, but he's on double duty this weekend, so we've put the headset on in pit lane. He stepped out of the GT4. He'll be with us in a moment, in fact.
Probably doing his hair right now.
Oh, that doesn't give away who it is.
Schumacher, Miles, Talbot, Evans. If you heard that,
good.
Love and kisses from the commentary box.
20 minutes to go. Excellent outlap from Brad Schumacher. He's got 2.4 over Miles. It's a little de facto Team Kiwi there in second place, and they're both Tim Miles I'm talking about, and Brendan Leach from the South Island of New Zealand. Tim hails from a town called Ashburton, about an hour south of Christchurch. Really good racing community from there. In fact, half of the people in the paddock that in New Zealand appear to have come from Ashburton at some point. His good mate Andy McElroy, they grew up together.
Mafia, they're the mafia together as kids. They're bad, let me tell you. And then, I mean, you're quite right to bring up the Leach family as well. There, Damon is a driving instructor at the Highlands Motorsport Park there in Cromwell. He's a very good racer in his own right. There's often competing in endurance competition in NZ, and his dad does some amazing work on vehicle restoration. So good combo, and Tim's a great supporter, isn't he? So
Brendan's off to the Spa 24 Hour with Alabama Motorsport in a couple of weeks' time. The centenary running of that epic endurance race in Belgium, Spa-Francorchamps. That's going to be an awesome experience for him. There'll be quite a lot of Antipodean competitors in that.
No commentators?
No, unfortunately.
Not yet.
Shame. Be nice. I'll try.
Let's just watch them as they come down the main straight here. So the margin is...
smashing him at the moment. To be honest with you, Schumacher's smashing him right now.
There's Talbot in the background. So let's just see if Liam is able to eat into the gap relative to Tim Miles there. So still a bit of work to do.
To be honest with you, I've been watching that exact time, Rusty, over the last couple of laps. Just under 11 seconds, 10.8 at the moment. We'll continue to monitor that one. That's the gap between first and third. Schumacher is driving brilliantly.
Yeah, 17.3 for Miles, places 16.8 for Talbot last time round, so it was 0.7 of a second between them.
Best lap of the race belongs to the Elliott Chute Jackson Evans Ferrari.
The big winner out of the pit stop sequence as well has been the Team BRM car, Audi R8, Mark Rosser. Up 3 spots in this race, thanks to those efforts from Alex Peroni, and this is Rosser on screen going down the inside of Mike Bailey in the Aston Martin. That is not for position.
Schumacher's just put another 10th into Liam Talbot as well. 10.9 seconds the gap. Schumacher, he's on a charge.
We said it, that Brad would rank himself to go up against Liam Talbot, or any other driver for that matter, any day of the week. And this is his opportunity to showcase that.
Right, I jumped the gun a little bit before, but he's now standing by. Let's bring Josh Buchan into the convo. Hello, mate, welcome. Firstly, are you spectating, watching this race closely, and what have you made of it so far?
Yeah, hello, fellas. Can you hear me all good?
We can.
Excellent. This race, yeah, I mean, I'm probably watching with envy, to be honest. I wouldn't mind being out there myself. What's another class to my day at this race? Big classes wouldn't be an issue at all.
Well, let's get a little debrief on that. Firstly, GT4, which is wrapped up. How did the weekend go on balance for you and Jason Yu? And what have you got up the sleeve for the final race of TCR and the Hyundai this afternoon?
Yeah, GT4 was awesome. Of all cars, we were the quickest car in the race in race 2, which was a nice surprise. Considering all those other young kids test and do all that fancy stuff, yeah, the Zagami car was a rocket ship. So, yeah, happy to bring it home second in Pro-Am and somewhere overall. It doesn't really matter. Second in Pro-Am is all we're going to talk about. And then, yeah, TCR, man, that was a crazy race. I don't know about you, but yeah, I would have preferred to be in the commentary box for that one. It was wild. So happy to survive, to be fair. And obviously race 3, I'll be starting off pole. Got a fresh set of match sticker tyres on the front, so away we go.
Hey, Josh, great to see you wearing the Pirelli hat. I was expecting you to be showing off that beautiful head of hair, mate, down there. Look at the gear, you're ready to go. Oh, you're covering up. He's got his various different sponsors.
Don't let your eyes fool you, lads. This is all a cover-up. So, yeah, I mean, I've got the Pirelli hat for GT4, I've got the Kumo shirt for TCR, so no one can find me for not having the right merch on.
Well done. Hey, before we let you go, just quickly, this TCR title race probably on paper looks tougher than the one that you claimed last year, which was pretty special, I know, but we could be in a scenario here at the back end of this year where there's maybe 5 drivers fighting this one out. It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is, fellas. I mean, I feel like I've probably been the quickest car on speed for the first half of the year at this point, but for whatever reason, crashes and silly stuff, I haven't really got those overall round results. I've been podium race 1 and race 3 everywhere we go, but yeah, just haven't stitched together it as cleanly as I would like, whereas some of the others have, and we know how important consistency is in TCR. So yeah, it's on. There's a heap of talented, amazing drivers in the field, and they're certainly pushing for the title. Hopefully I can keep it.
One to go this afternoon. Josh, how are you placed, and how do you play out this final race? Is it eyes forward and as many positions as you can, or do you play the points game for a round result?
Krause, it's a bit of both, mate. You know, obviously I want to win. I want to bring a trophy back to the team, but, you know, I've been doing this long enough now. I know that solid points is going to really benefit if you zoom out and look at the year as a whole rather than just go for it at turn 1 like some are known to do. So, yeah, we'll see. Stand by.
All right, good luck with shopping that CV around the GT3 paddock, mate. Thank you for talking to us, and go well with this afternoon's race in TCR and the title defence. Nice to catch up.
Love your work, fellas. Thank you very much.
There he is,
Miss you all.
Josh Buchan. We love you too, mate. So back we go, 13.5 minutes remaining, 6.4 seconds. I wouldn't mind betting Timmy Miles is either maybe a little bit hamstrung by something he doesn't feel is quite right in that car, or if anything, maybe a little disappointed in himself at the moment. He would love to be going toe-to-toe with Brad Schumacher at present.
The car is not underneath him right now, but Brad Schumacher lost a little bit of time to Liam Talbot due to traffic. I saw it drop as low as 9.2 seconds. Once he cleared those back markers, though, it's back up to 10.2 seconds. So Brad Schumacher well and truly in command.
Yeah, barring something catastrophic for the Audi, they're looking really strong. The battle's going to be for second and third, and Talbot's got to 3 seconds now to the back of Tim Miles.
That's
so
right.
the fight for the the podium will be on, and I'd suggest Elliott Shute as well, who has consistently been a couple of tenths a lap quicker than Miles. He's running 4th in the second of the Arise Racing Ferraris. So that's where the interest is. We know that Tim Miles can be brutally hard to pass. He proved that for almost 30 minutes of racing at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Remember, this guy is hugely experienced. He raced internationally for a while with his good mate Trevor Carlin over in the British open wheel scene. He's an accomplished race car driver, Tim Miles. He will be up for the fight if it comes down to it. He's still got to find 2.5 seconds, Liam Talbot. He's not there yet.
The domestic kudos he received out of what he did on the Sunday at Phillip Island, the likes of Paul Morris and others coming up saying that's as good as you'll see. Definitely his best drive.
Not too bad on mergers and acquisitions either.
Pretty handy.
Well,
Pretty
when it comes to selling your company, Cameron, you will be ringing Tim Miles. He's the guy to do it.
You think I haven't already called him? We've had several phone calls. No, he's a good man, Tim Miles.
Closing up on the back of the Lamborghini here. Will want to clear this and just put a little bit of space between himself and Liam Talbot. So it's now down to 2 seconds. So Talbot finds another second there on that lap in the battle of Miles, in the battle of Audi versus Ferrari.
Proudly adorning the Kiwi on the side of the white, black and a little bit of silver Audi R8 LMS. Tim had a little stint in Australian GT in the mid-2010s and then went back to Porsche One Make Racing, where he was in Sprint Challenge and Carrera Cup. Decided a change is as good as a holiday this year and back into GT racing. Linked up with Brendan Leach. Gets the benefit of running with an expert pro driver who's as quick as anybody in the world in these cars, and the opportunity to win some races like they did at Phillip Island.
Here's the battle. This is for second. He's within, well, just on a second, the gap between Liam Talbot and Tim Miles. I told you, he's been fighting the rear end since he got back into that car. It is not turning rusty. I think there might be a bit of a, if it's not an issue with the car, it's certainly a balance problem.
Someone who's going to be ultra nervous from Dale ITM is Deb Day, who was officially elected Motorsport New Zealand president very recently too. Wow. So trackside here with this car supporting both Tim and Brendan, and here it is, it's on. Talbot has arrived with 10 minutes remaining. Tim fighting as best he can with this car. Cam's talked about the fact that it's not giving him that confidence underneath him right now. Talbot's got speed.
He can't get the thing to turn. He missed the apex at turn 1, missed it again at turn 3. The thing isn't rotating into a corner. Really struggling, Miles, at the moment. So he's got to nail his braking now and get the thing stopped, because that's what's going to keep Liam Talbot behind him.
And I saw it at turn 11 on the first lap he's had the car, which we're coming up to through 11. We've just been through 11. No, we're actually heading up there now. And this is the problem. He's not getting the car to rotate.
And while these two battle, that's going to drag Elliott Shute into this as well. He's only a couple of seconds down the road. There is the other Ferrari.
This is the bit where he had the issue earlier. So watch him turn in, watch the exit. And this is where Talbot will get the opportunity on him.
That's the most critical corner on the racetrack at the moment for Tim Miles to get right. Yes, this one's important, but it's not so much of a stop-and-go corner, the final one. If he can get it out of 11, he should be able to protect himself.
Look who's closing in the background. Elliott Shute is coming into the game here. Coming into the game. Flash of lights. The second Ferrari is on more than the horizon. He's just about there. So Miles survives another day. Good bit of driving from Tim Miles. Keeps the car mid-track in certain points, and he's making life hard for Talbot, who's a little shallower there. Tries something different this time.
And these GT3 cars quite aerodynamically sensitive, so you get up behind someone, you get caught in that dirty air. You'll hear about that if you watch open wheel racing, if you watch Formula One. Well, it's similar in these cars. The big diffuser, the big rear wing, the air is turbulent behind these cars. And what that does for the car following is takes all the downforce out of it. So your front tyres overheat, so your car understeers, it pushes. So the longer you get caught up behind a car in front, the harder it becomes to execute that move.
And then he has to
working for Miles now.
He has to worry about Elliott Shute behind him. The more he gets backed up, the more his teammate becomes a threat.
Oh.
So he's clearing, and he's up the inside now. Liam Talbot moves up into second.
How was just overslowed the car, didn't he? Just checked up a little bit on the mid-corner there to make sure there was no over-under happening on the exit of turn 11. Great racecraft, Liam Talbot. Heads up from Tim Miles. Saw him coming, gave him racing room.
Shute keeps the pressure on. Flash of lights at Miles as they come down the front straight already. Talbot with that big, deep dive under brakes, has made about a car length or two. Oh, do they nearly make contact? Miles asserts himself, says, that's my line.
The head-on camera does foreshorten the distance between the cars barreling up there, but Elliott was a long way to the left. So Miles could go wide. Absolutely had no idea he was there. So he turned in, as he should do, into turn one. But it was hold your breath little moment there for Elliott Shute.
He knew he was there. He just hoped he was far enough in front. He was
anyway.
going regardless, was Tim Miles. Trying to keep that Audi in front. 7 minutes remaining. It's going to be a battle for Tim Miles. Not going to make it easy for Elliott Shute.
It's good sport.
He certainly let Elliott Shute know, if you're going to take it, you're going to have to take
for it, young man. Absolutely. Elliott on his own is a terrific story. He came out of sim racing and won a driver search competition that Arise Racing run at Wanneroo Raceway over in the West. And they went, oh, you're good at this, you can drive. Popped him in a Radical and he was competitive immediately. And in fact, the driving style, they are different, but it's a similar fundamental between the open-top sports car that is a Radical SR3 and the GT car. They're a slick tyre category with a lot of aero, a lot of downforce. So great preparation for Elliott to jump into this car. And I think some people were slightly surprised when they named him as a teammate to Jackson Evans, but Arise Racing knew the capabilities of this young guy and what he'd achieved in Radical racing. So it's been a really exciting find in GT, what Elliott Shute has achieved already this season in 2 short rounds.
Should give a shout out to BD Suter Dawson as well, who works with the Arise Racing GT program as one of their driver coaches or assisting with them. One of the better driver coaches, particularly in karting, anywhere in the world.
Yeah, and Jordan Oon, who's team manager of this program for Arise Racing, has helped put all of this together. Man, they've got some firepower in that garage. Mark Goddard of Eurasia Motorsport, heavily involved. A lot of his guys have come down from Asia to run these cars for the season. And Mark just with a sage, old pair of hands, wise pair of hands to
It was where I was going
program.
with our coverage yesterday when I said I'm really loving what I'm seeing in that garage. Audi Customer Sport Racing has been the pinnacle of it. Arise is here, and they're about to take over 3rd place now. As Elliott Shute has a look, not close enough yet. It's almost like Tim Miles has risen to the challenge. He wants the fight. The car looks better.
Well, I'd say he learned a bit about it in that battle with Liam Talbot. He understood where he was weak, where Talbot was strong, and he's doing all the things he needs. And Schute's car moving around a lot through turn 3. Less than 5 minutes remain. Brad Schumacher, while this battling has been going on, has cleared out to a 14.9 second lead now over Liam Talbot. And right now it's Audi, Ferrari, Audi, Ferrari, Audi. The first Mercedes AMG. Oh! 6th place.
This is great stuff for different reasons. So Shute off the bat. Now what's happened here? Will this be a safety car? Can he limp it back? Right front's gone for Ash Samadi.
Look like right front and right rear. The car's just down on its right-hand side.
Back we go. Miles holding on. I love the fact Richard's just detailed the career for Elliott Shute, and here he is. Maximum pressure being applied to Tim Miles, who's cut plenty of laps over his career. They cross the start-finish line. It remains unchanged. Just a quick class update as we keep an eye on these guys. The Bailey Aston Martin leading the trophy class. Good job, Darren Curry, I think, at the wheel there at the moment. And the Sheer Gold Walden entry, position 11. They're leading the AM class. Great job by those guys.
Yeah, Garth's picked that thing up by the scruff of its neck in this part of the race and has dragged it to the lead in front of Shane Woodman after the disappointment of yesterday's race. That will be very, very sweet. Here goes Elliott. Oh. Great run through turn 5. Out braking at turn 6, but he goes too wide. Miles is going to have an opportunity here and retakes the spot up the inside. Elliott out in the marbles and sideways and wide.
That might be enough. 3 minutes to go. Tim might be safe. Tim might be safe. I reckon it got out in the dirty stuff, and it was awkward to recover from there, and he's lost the ground, Elliott Shute. The replay will tell us if we get one. We've only got 3 minutes to go, so I'm not going to promise that to you folks. I'm not directing. But I reckon that's what happened. It got out in some dirty stuff. It went wide. trouble recovering it from there. That's all the breathing space Miles needs. There he is.
And there is zero traction beyond that curb on the exit of turn 6. We've seen it all weekend long. If you get out there, you are in a world of pain. And that's what happened to the Lance East Exotics Ferrari. So struggle for traction there. And then look, you can see where the clean line is on the road. There's so many marbles from all the rejoin. It's not even marbles, it's literally dirt and debris on the outside there. And he got in it and the thing almost snapped ends on him.
You could see his brain was working overtime because he's missed his brake marker into the next one. That was why you thought there was a puncture, because it just looked like he couldn't get back on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. So the track very dirty on the outside. Tell you what, there'll be some TCR drivers watching that for their last race later on going, single file through there, I think. Turn 7, don't go wide. You will end up off the road. And that has cost Elliott Shute 3 seconds in track position. Still 2 minutes to go. Can he get to the back of Miles by the final lap, perhaps? It's not done yet.
I think he's just about there at the moment.
Haven't really spent too much time focusing on this car, but collectively, Will Brown and Brad Schumacher have delivered on Sunday afternoon. 1:40 remaining in this race, and the Bathurstian, as Richard calls him, will be relishing this. He's made a significant contribution to this result today.
Elliott Shute 4/10 off the back now of Tim Miles. Straight back on it with 1.5 minutes remaining. There it is. So he's ready to do battle again, down into turn 1.
Hold on, Tim, hold on. Can he do it? Can he do it? Fast youngster behind him.
Sorry, Rusty. You're facing almost due west up there at the end of turn 1, 2, and you can start. The sun is playing a role now. They get to that braking point. You can see the bright light in their eyes as they're getting to the point where they put 110 bar of brake pressure into these cars to try and get them stopped. Right, take 2 down the inside chute. What about this time?
Same again. Is it same again? He can't go wide here. It'll be a repeat of the last one. Can he get the nose in front? Oh. He does. But is there contact? If there wasn't, it was super close. Runs a little wide here, but that might be enough to get it done. Wow. I didn't think a recovery like that would have been possible. Such is the tenacity of Elliott Shute, up to 3rd.
Awesome.
He threw out the sails, he opened the doors, he did everything he could to stop that car and just held on. And then overcooked it into 7 and was lucky the track just widened slightly.
Mate, he had the anchor out, the parachute. Look, it was no one's been slower through the apex of turn 6 all weekend. And then he was just wide enough to get some of those marbles, and when that happened, but then he barreled the thing wide at turn 8, and for a moment it looked like Miles had another opportunity to get through, but he's not done yet. He's stuck to the back of the Ferrari. The clock winds down to 0. We'll confirm final lap for you in a second. If the clock gets to 0, then it's +1 lap.
How awesome is this? After an hour of racing, Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. Great story in Brad Schumacher and Will Brown. And then a heck of a fight between Shute and Miles for the final spot in the top 3. Here it comes.
So 1 to go. Last lap for Brad Schumacher. What a comprehensive performance. And you talk about little moments defining a motor race, and they will look back at the little moment of a lapped car in the middle and Will Brown taking advantage of that to pass Brendan Leach and to give them the track position they needed. 2 cars off, including the AM-class leader. So Garth Walden's involved in that. What margin did he have over Theo Kondouris? They were 11th and 12th on the road. Kondouris is in front. So they lost the lead in the class in the final lap yesterday. Could it happen 2 days in a row? Regardless, this car is going to win today. A brilliant start for Will Brown. And cop this, 3rd in race 1 of the championship, 3rd in race 2 of the championship, 3rd yesterday. They're finally going to get this thing to the pointy end.
Great work. The Bathurst racer, who loves this Audi, paired with the guy who is doing the job at the moment in supercars as well. What a combination in GT3 racing. They win at the Bend on Sunday. Awesome stuff. He's pretty happy about it too.
That's a supreme drive from Brad Schumacher. That is as good a drive as he's put in his career. And then across the line in second, Liam Talbot fought as he always does, and a big swag of championship points for Liam. He'll take back to Brisbane tonight. And then Elliott Shute, what a drive. It took a couple of goes, but he finally got Tim Miles and completes the podium in that one. So Arise Racing second and third, Miles and Leach fourth. And what a starring under the radar performance, you got to say, for Mark Rosser and Alex Peroni, P5 in the Team BRM run outie.
Official results for race 2 of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia. Will Brown and Brad Schumacher take out the top spot for Melbourne Performance Centre. Mostert and Talbot second, Evans and Shute third. We look back to Leach and Miles, who fought hard all race, brought it home in fourth. Alex Peroni and Mark Rosser in fifth.
A couple of things from a class perspective. So well done to the team, firstly, that run the Bailey Aston Martin, doing the job in trophy. But what's happened on the run to the line here? Has Walden and Sheargold been able to get back ahead of the Conduras boys? That's happened with inside of the flag by the looks of it, and they will take it out in the AM class. So that's a bit of a heart in the mouth moment for them, but Garth gets there in the end along with Mike Sheargold. Great work.
I think much like today, the story is they have, but I don't know how. Thanks to Super Cheap Auto Club. Let's have a look at the highlights in Fanatec GT World Challenge Australia Race 2. Wild stuff at the start, and a strange moment for Jackson Evans at the pointy end, also for Tony D'Alberto, who was turned around. A couple of Audis out early, Rene Gracie and Marcel Zalua. Key moment here as Will Brown took advantage of a lapped car and passed Brendan Leach.
Lots of action in the pit lane as the mandatory stops unfolded. Tim was fighting. He fought hard in that Audi, but he couldn't stop the onslaught of the Ferraris. He wasn't going to give it up early. This one with Elliott Shute, there would be a little bit of contact, but Shute would ultimately get to third. Up in front, Brad Schumacher and Will Brown. A consistent start to the season for them in this category, but they break through for a win at the Bend.
4 podiums in 4 races for the Audi duo. And after a trio of thirds, they finally get a race win.
And let's go back to the drive by Brad Schumacher. I know it's a team effort, but no one laid a glove on him. Other than that one moment when he was balked slightly by a lapped car, he took tenths out of them lap after lap. He was a metronome and a very deserving winner alongside Will Brown.
Yeah, it was an outstanding drive. Shaw and Partners team stringing it together, and Melbourne Performance Centre and those Audi R8s, the most successful car in the history of GT3 racing worldwide, continues to succeed. And confirmation, that's the AM class winners. Garth Walden and Mike Sheargold somehow, despite the dramas on the final lap, have managed to get themselves on top. So that will be sweet revenge after losing the class win on the final lap of race 1 yesterday. And there is Garth, the Sydney sider, will be very pleased indeed with that. Crew from Pirelli will just check the pressures.
So we're just waiting to confirm who we'll be chatting to in Victory Lane there. Sheargold and Walden, they get there in the end.
Like it, that was interesting.
Yeah, wasn't it? We should say well done as well to everybody from the team that look after this championship in Australia, headed by Ben McMillan and the crew. It's been another fantastic weekend for all sorts of reasons, hasn't it? Lots of variety.
Yeah, and it's only going to get stronger and stronger as the year goes on, with reports of more cars yet to come. Right, let's go down and catch up with our AM class winners first and foremost. Here's Sarah Bird.
Guys, I'm down here with our AM class winners. Fantastic effort there. Garth, just on that very last lap there, that was a real battle right until the very end, wasn't it?
Yeah, obviously we're already in first for AM class, but we're trying to get as many spots as we could. And yeah, I think old mate just shut the door on us, but that's all right. I'm happy to get the win. We unfortunately missed it yesterday, but obviously, got it today.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask about yesterday. What did you guys go back and chat about last night in preparation for today?
Look, yesterday we were on. It's unfortunate, bit of contact, spun us out of the lead on the last lap. But yeah, it was just about resetting and just having some fun today, and it came to us. So yeah, very happy.
Congratulations, guys. Well done.
Thanks very much.
I think Sarah's just going to wander through the Shannon's Victory Lane area there. That might have been, was it? I'm not sure who was wandering down the lane there. For the next of our interviews, we'll bring you that shortly. Don't forget TCR to come. Trico Trans Am just around the corner too. Back to Sarah now.
This is just run back.
Stand in front of the car. It's fucked it up.
Guys, down here with Brad Schumacher, sorry, we had a bit of a mix-up with getting the cars in here, but we've got you now. Fantastic race, how was that?
Yeah, it was great. Honestly, I just got a shout out to Will because he put me in the position to be able to fight for the end of the race. And yeah, we didn't step foot wrong today, which was great after yesterday. And obviously taking my first outright win, GT World Challenge Australia, is an amazing thing for me, a day I'll never forget. And yeah, thanks to Team MPC and all of our sponsors, and of course my co-driver Will, who's about to jump on a plane tonight and head over to the US for NASCAR. So this is a perfect way for him to leave Australia and leave on a high, and hopefully he goes well overseas.
What a day for you guys, honestly, both of you. Will, as we said, you had a fantastic start out there and you really set things up for you guys as a team. What was going through your mind out there?
Don't screw it up on the start, because these cars, they're pretty, the tyres are cold and it's hard to do the first lap. But I had a big bomb down the outside of turn 6 and was able to get 2 of them, and then brought it home in second place, and Brad did an awesome job. So stoked to get a win. We've been working hard to try and get the win, so really excited about it.
And obviously, as Brad just said, huge opportunity for you heading off to the US tonight, is it? Straight on the plane?
Yeah, I'm quite lucky. There's a plane at Murray Bridge straight into Sydney and then out to the US. So it's running it pretty fine to get there, but we'll do the podium and I'll be straight off. But pretty excited to get over and have a go at NASCAR.
Well, we'll all be watching. Thanks so much. All the best, and well done today, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, hello, Chelsea and Jasmine.
Very gracious stuff from Brad Schumacher, and we wish Will Brown all the very best in Sonoma in that NASCAR. He'll be running for Peter Adderton and the team. Huge opportunity for the Aussie. A break here on the Shannon Speed Series. When we come back, V8 mode, Trico Trans Am coming your way in just a few moments.